No, you ready? No, where's your do-rag?
I just got a haircut, so I feel like showing it off.
No, I get that. I just need you to understand the do-rag at this point isn't like a accessory. It's a statement piece. It's part of her brand. So please get your do-rag and put it on.
Bro, relax, bro. You stand out more.
No, you are hurting our brand.
Wait, do you really want to wear it for real?
Yes, you're hurting our brand. We have to stay consistent. The people have to see us. There's a reason for this do-rag. We're trying to change the narrative. Avery, Avery, get your do-rag on too.
Yeah, I do.
Avery, get your do-rag on.
What if he's like, he's like, where's Nnamdi? He's the guy with the do-rag. Oh.
I'm pretty sure my do-rag looks bad anyway.
Wait, where's Noah? Oh, I see. Unapologetically black. I don't feel right doing this. I'm not wearing this damn thing, bro. I'm not wearing this damn thing.
Wow. Shall we jump in, guys? Shall we begin?
Yeah.
Anything else we're waiting for? Hey, welcome to another edition of the 97 Demo Podcast, where we bring you the latest industry news, chart updates, and just good stories and a lot of other fun stuff along the way. Today, we're giving you a great album review, Phoebe Bridges' Punisher, so stay tuned for that. And we also have a lot to I guess, tackle, and there's been some stories that have kind of split social media up, torn Twitter apart, and I guess we're gonna offer in our opinion, even though it's completely unwarranted to the best of our ability. But I guess, how are you guys doing? How has this week been for y'all?
Good. Happy Father's Day to all the dads.
Oh yeah, happy Father's Day. We are recording this on Father's Day.
Nnamdi.
Happy Father's Day to you now.
I'm joking.
You just gonna expose me on the pod, for real? But happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Keep holding it down.
Yeah. So.
I'm
doing
good.
Say?
Doing good.
Everything's good.
Yeah, everything's good.
Cool,
Chilling.
cool.
How are you doing now?
I mean, if y'all good, I'm good. That's how it is.
Okay.
We're good. Well, why don't we get into the charts rundown and then hurry up and get that over so we can introduce our special guest this week. But everything pretty much as you expected on the Hot 100. Rockstar by the Baby spending its second week at number 2. Interesting note about this, the Billboard pointed out, this is the first time in, I believe, 4 weeks we haven't had a collab at the top, because last week was Savage, the week before was Rain on Me, the week before was Say So, the week before was Stuck With You. So we've had
this
an
is
array
still
of
a collab.
Oh, you said 4 weeks?
Okay, you're right.
Do you mean 4 weeks since it's been like just an artist by itself?
Okay, well, actually, let me take that back. I think it was a female collab that for the last 3 weeks has
right.
dominated the charts.
Okay,
This is the first week where we haven't had a female collab,
Gotcha.
and that's crazy because, just generally speaking, female collabs topping the charts aren't all that common. So that's an interesting thing to talk about there. But I guess not really any surprises. Intentions by Justin Bieber has been crawling its way up the charts for a while now.
Lady Gaga dropped a lot.
Lady Gaga went the other way, dropped from number 5 to I think 10.
Yeah, that's a big drop.
But which is maybe surprising for two big artists. But I mean, like we said, this has been a rap R&B year. So is it all that surprising?
Not really.
Life is good though. After 22 weeks, it's still in it down. It's just now leaving the top 15. So I mean, good for it.
Maybe people are realizing life is not that good right now. Maybe we just want to. Maybe we also want to think life is.
Wait, did that track come out during coronavirus?
No, that came out back in January.
That was early in the year.
Oh, so life might have been good then, but
yeah.
Who would have known?
That was like the World War III time. So like.
Oh, so life
really wasn't all that good. Yeah, can you believe that was this year?
Life really was.
The first 10 days. We started 2020 off with a bang, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, not really any surprises here. Some things have been moving up, but there haven't been any new hot debuts to watch out for. On the Billboard 200, I think the story is pretty similar. My Turn, My Little Baby returning to number 1. And I remember we talked about that last week because I believe that was one of the longest gaps in returning back to number 1 since Shallow.
Yeah.
Or there was or A Star Is Born. I keep on saying Shallow. The A Star Is Born soundtrack last year. So I mean, a very impressive feat.
I want to point out how last week I said Jimmy Buffett's still gonna be up here, and my man is gone from the earth. my man is gone from the earth. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Where is he?
I'm about to command
RTJ
F,
went down to number 12, which really just hurt. I just
okay.
can't stop thinking.
Hey, stop it! Just stop!
Yeah, we didn't know. We didn't.
Wow,
Jimmy!
Wow!
Whoa! Oh my!
No, don't do Jimmy like yo. Okay, wait. Let's not forget that Jimmy Buffett is decades
Gibbs
out of
too.
his peak and still is able to do that.
Freddie Gibbs too.
Oh, from 15 to 158.
God, yo, that's a dramatic drop. Especially if it's number 2. But never mind.
Forgot.
Yeah, wow. There you go. But I
also want to point out, we found out this weekend. No, I think Noah sent us the tweet that Lil Baby is the second highest selling artist this year.
Yeah,
that was Nnamdi.
Nnamdi sent it. That's right. My bad.
Only followed by The Weeknd, and in the U.S., I believe, which is just good for him. Like that's
so
quite a feat to be proud of. And I think it was like 1.3 million, and like After Hours has 1.5 or 1.7.
Yeah, no,
so
actually it was closer. Numbers. I think Weeknd was like 1.33, and Lil Baby was like 1.31. It was close.
Yeah,
it was really surprising though.
Either way, they're selling millions. So, kudos to both of them. Dark Lane Demo Tape still number 5, holding it down. It moved up. So, I mean, there you go, and not really any surprises here. I want to point out the Rhythmic Songs chart because last week when we do our annual, have y'all listened to this artist? Oh, you haven't? We got to do it next week.
Lil Mosey?
We talked about Blueberry. Didn't we talk about Blueberry Faygo as being one of those TikTok songs that we don't really feel like we hear that much?
It's a TikTok song.
Yeah.
I know it's been hanging around the charts for obviously 14 weeks now, but it's been hanging around here for a while.
Yeah, I know this artist because he was on the XXL freshman cover, I think like last year.
Okay.
He now has his first number 1, Grant, albeit on the Rhythmic Songs chart. Still kudos to him.
Yeah.
First number 1 track. So there you go.
That's dope.
And the Rhythmic Songs chart, I believe, is within the subsection of rap, hip hop, one of the many charts they have under that category. So there you go.
I mean, these are all pretty catchy songs on here too.
Yeah. So are these songs with good hooks? Are these just songs? Is that the I don't know.
No,
it makes sense for this song where Rihanna is like only on the hook.
Which song? Oh, Believe
It. Believe It. These all have like pretty.
The Rhythmic chart is an airplay chart published weekly by Billboard magazine.
I don't know if I like this list, guys.
It tracks and measures the airplay of songs played on rhythmic radio stations.
This feels really urban contemporary-ish.
It's very urban.
I mean, it is. No, did you just say it is?
There's a rock song on here.
See, no definition.
There you go. But yeah, basically, it says it tracks basically radio playing for a R&B hip hop station. So this is what is being played the most.
That's interesting.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess it's a radio-ish type thing. I guess that makes sense. So,
like these all sound like very radio songs.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not urban contemporary because like the Jack Harlow's on here, and if it was urban contemporary, you would get any time to shine.
Yeah, you're right. Progressive R&B.
Yeah.
Exactly. Progressive R&B. So I guess now to a more serious.
Not serious, okay. But
yeah, you're right. Not serious. Just conversation.
Conversation. Serious to some. It can be serious, but yeah. So you want me to get into it about this no name stuff?
But I thought Avery was gonna do it.
You want to do it?
Yeah, I got it. So J. Cole last week kind of surprised everyone and said he was dropping a song. And
what was that?
When
was that? When did he drop that?
That was like Thursday, I want to say, maybe.
Thursday?
Yeah, wasn't it? Or was it over the weekend?
Dang.
I don't know. It was a few days ago.
It was over.
And I think we all got excited. And then I don't know about you guys, but I listened to it for the first time, and I didn't really even listen to the lyrics. It took me getting on Twitter like an hour or two later to realize that people were very mad because people figured out very quickly that he was kind of tweeting No Name in the song. No Name had a tweet a few months ago, or I guess a month or two ago, saying that your favorite highest selling artists who rap about black flight and all that have not spoken out about what's going on currently with George Floyd and the protests. And J. Cole felt some type of way about that tweet and felt the need to make this song. About a couple days later, No Name responded with her own song called Song 33.
And boy, did she respond.
Boy, did she. And this was after J. Cole doubled down on his song and said that he stands by everything. So what do you guys think about what's going on between No Name and J. Cole?
So let me just start off by
go ahead.
giving you kind of how I heard about the whole thing, kind of how I digested it, just going from like chronological order for me. So, like you, I heard the track. Avery was like, "Oh, there's a track." I was like, "J. Cole, dope. I'm gonna listen to it." I listened to it and I was like, "Oh, he's rapping." I heard the lyrics and I heard he was talking about a woman, but I wasn't really thinking anything of it. I thought he was just talking about like a woman in general, and I was like, oh, "Okay, let's go." Ooh, Tom. I was like, "Oh, he's rapping."
Yeah.
Then I get on Twitter and it's a frenzy. I'm like, "Whoa, what is going on?" No, the first reaction on Twitter was, "Oh, this song's fire," and then people are like, "Oh, is he going at No Name?" So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So basically, I did it for the night. I'm like, I got too much. In the morning, I don't remember what day that was, but in the morning, Twitter was in shambles talking about the way he came at No Name was disrespectful, was uncalled for, bad timing. J. Cole's better than this. He shouldn't have done that. So that's just basically my sequence of events about how I heard about it and how everything came together. Now, if you want to tell your reaction since you didn't.
I mean, y'all know. So let's preface this by saying anyone who knows that I'm a big J. Cole fan.
Stan.
So when I wouldn't say I'm a big J. Cole fan is how I prefer to put the description out there. But I say that to say when the song first came out, I was just excited I got a new Cole song. And just like similar to you guys, I wasn't really listening to the lyrics. It was just more so I was like, okay, I can mess with this beat. He has this guy singing on the end of the song. I don't know who it is. Cole doesn't do features, but somebody was singing on the end of the song. So I was vibing to it. But it wasn't until Twitter the next day that I really went back and read the lyrics and realized, oh, this is about No Name. Like he's clearly kind of sending a message. And I think this is a wonderful lesson on intent versus impact, because I think Cole's intent was to say she's saying all these things and all these things are correct. I agree with her, but her tone is making it hard for me to listen. Right? The impact of what you're saying is basically speak nicer to me or my ears will remain closed. Be a little bit more nice, be kind, so I had to chill with that attitude. And that's never the intent. But that was the impact, or that's how it felt, especially at a time where we are now. And just like I feel even more so, because I talked to you guys about it in the beginning, this time saying like, I kind of get what Cole's trying to say, but I agree with what everyone's saying about what No Name did, or how, why it was offensive to No Name. It wasn't until No Name put out Song 33 that I really understood, okay, I see what everyone's saying now. And the bigger issue for me at that point wasn't really what he was saying, but the fact that, during a time that we're in right now, when there's so much going on, especially regarding Black women, 2 Black trans women were killed, the horrible kidnapping and murder of Toyi, which still just kind of wrenches my heart just thinking about it now. It wasn't the time, it wasn't the time to air out a grievance or complaint, to use your voice. This is the first time Cole has really kind of come out and said, so Cole has been in the streets, has been protesting, but as far as coming out, putting out a tweet, putting out a song, this is his first time doing it this year. This is his first song in 2020. And it is kind of disappointing to think about this first song at the time we are now was basically telling No Name to be a little bit nicer. And that's where I was like, it just felt like such not only a wasted opportunity, but it's really disappointing.
Yeah, for me, this whole thing has a lot of layers to it. I mean, it seems kind of, but there's a lot, like, obviously, originally with No Name's tweet, which I obviously understood. And honestly, when I heard that, the first two people I talked about was talking about J. Cole and Kendrick. That's what I thought she was talking about. And my first thinking was, okay, that's fair. And then obviously the pictures came out that J. Cole and Kendrick were protesting and whatnot, the days following that. And, my original thought was, okay, I get the idea of wanting your favorite artist to, obviously use their platform, which I think they should. But it's kind of the same thing with, like, people donating money. Like, I feel like it's the right thing to do, but it's not something they necessarily have to do. But, like, the thing with Kendrick and J. Cole, where I was like, they're kind of different, because what I felt was, like, people who are really prominent on social media that are always tweeting stuff, always posting stuff, and then they're deciding just to be quiet now. I feel like it's really weird. The thing with J. Cole and Kendrick is they're not really
that anyway.
Anyway, like, they don't post anything anyway. And they're more about like, hey, I'm going to do this. So I was like, oh, they're not going to post anything, but they're going to go protest. So that's why I thought it was fine. But as this whole thing came around, I see that people were mad that they didn't tweet. Then when No Name kind of deleted that, and then this J. Cole song came out, I just honestly thought it was bad timing in J. Cole's part. And I'm going to say exactly, I'm going to pull from what Chance the Rapper said, because he responded to something like that. He said something, basically he said, yet another L for men, masking patriarchy and gaslighting as constructive criticism. So he's just tweeting, and he responds like, I know name your peoples, but Cole did not read the room before dropping that, but come on, bro. And then he responds, Chance says, he explained it perfectly, said, they both my peoples. Only one of them put out a whole song talking about how the other needs to reconsider their tone and attitude in order to save the world. It's not constructive and undermines all the work No Name has done. It's not Black women's job to spoon feed us. We grown. I definitely agree. I feel like this is actually interesting coming from J. Cole, considering he's really private. I feel like this could have been a talk that he could have just had with No Name.
I felt very off-brand for him.
Yeah, it's weird because he put they're kind of, I guess, beef, if you call this a beef. They're issues on the platform for everybody to talk about, and I just feel like that's kind of messy anyway. So
it's just like, consider the last person that J. Cole referenced in a song, talks about it in a song, at least to this degree. It was Lil Pump, and just putting a Lil Pump and No Name in the same now category of people J. Cole has responded to in music is this. And mind you, J. Cole has never publicly said it's about No Name. Even in that thread he has, he's like, some people say, they know who it is. I won't say, but he
did retweet her song. Like when she put out the song, he did tweet out the link to it and said follow No Name, and said just because we don't agree with each other doesn't mean we can't be gentle or something like that. So
I don't know. I just
all but confirmed.
I mean, the first thing J. Cole goes wrong, even though he says, in the song he says, the queen tone is bothering me. One thing I know, don't ever tell a Black woman to change her tone, or because they gonna start. Bop, bop, bop. I mean, I'm telling you, when you tell Black women about their tone, how they're speaking to you, it's gonna come off as rude anyway. And I was kind of speaking to this, even though there's not related, it's kind of a bigger issue. But people were comparing it to like a white person saying, telling a Black person, watch the way you're speaking, or, change your tone, or why are you so angry about this or whatnot. And I think the thing is that, I don't want to get too deep into this, but a lot of Black men in general, it's hard to see because, we're both Black, but we're also men, and we have to see that. And when women, and we live in a systemic racist society, we also live in a systemic sexist society. And I think a lot of Black men have a problem differentiating that. Like, we don't have that side of things. We're not privileged because we're Black men. We're privileged. We have privilege because of our gender, because we're men, not because we're Black, because we're men. So I think that's something that a lot of men still struggle with, especially Black men, because we're like, wait, we're Black for you, but we also have a little.
And that's why, if anything, I really appreciated this happening as publicly as it did, because one thing that I can say with utmost certainty is that the views J. Cole expressed in his song are common views. A lot of people probably felt the way. A lot of Black men in particular probably felt
Absolutely, I agree.
Why do I feel? Even just look at Twitter. Whenever Black women call out Black men on Twitter, look at the replies. But y'all saying fight for Black men now, but it's always Black men trash. I don't know. Like, a lot of people try to tone police women. And have this view of, how can you expect me to listen to you if you're gonna be rude, if you're gonna have an attitude, like, that's common. So I can appreciate it acting publicly and people expressing to Cole why his views were just kind of incorrect, or why the song was ill-timed, because other people, I think, can take from that and grow from that, and I think that's necessary, especially in our community. I think that is necessary.
And I think the whole thing, after coming back, especially after No Name released the track, which was also dope. It was dope. It was great. But the fact that she released the track and she said she kind of regretted it too, it kind of just cements that this whole thing was kind of ridiculous, and that I feel like J. Cole shouldn't have released that song in the first place. And the whole thing was kind of like, why this even happened? Like, it was kind of like, why this? Like, this did not have to happen. Like, it's like, why this have to happen? I mean, the song, we got good music out of it. I guess that's fine, but the whole thing out of it kind of feels like it wasn't even worth it, honestly.
And let's rest assured, I feel seeing both J. Cole and No Name, what they've done since. So No Name saying that she kind of just regrets the song, but then I think deleting the initial tweet that could have potentially fueled J. Cole's song, and then J. Cole going back, and I think Avery, you said J. Cole deleted his tweet as well.
He had deleted the initial tweet where he tweeted out the song. And I forgot if he tweeted the lyrics out or not, but if he did, that's gone.
I don't think J. Cole tweeted out the lyrics. He just tweeted out the No Name song.
Did.
Okay. Yeah, but he tweeted out his own song, which is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, but he did. Yeah, exactly. So.
But the fact that J. Cole, so he deleted his song, he deleted the tweet of his song, which honestly more so looks like he's no longer going to be promoting it. And then on top of that, you have No Name saying she regrets her song. To me, that just reads, I'm sure they spoke. Both Cole and No Name to me seem like people who, this may have become messy, but they still very much so seem like they're capable of having that phone conversation. Yeah. And I'm sure that is what happened here.
Honestly, I think right now, all the fans are more mad than actually they are right now.
Yeah. But I guess anyway, and another things that have happened on a more lighter note, have any of y'all listened to Beyonce's new song for the Juneteenth record, Black Parade?
I did. I enjoyed it.
That was really good.
Yeah, I also thought it was a really great song. I mean, the thing that makes it even better is that Beyonce is going to be donating, she said, at least all those proceeds to different Black businesses. And they're all on her website. That's what I thought I put the link to. But she's donating to an array of Black businesses. And I always love when I see really kind of direct action. And like these businesses range. Some are art businesses, some are food, retail, clothing.
Yeah.
I always love when I see direct action like this, like the song here. Not only here's this song and it's going to a good cause, because often do you just hear that we're donating this for a good cause, donate to Black Lives Matter because it's a good cause. But I love seeing when it's actionable stuff. It's going to these specific businesses. It's going to be helping them, and I just think that's really important. So
I really like this. It's kind of
Beyonce never, if she does, rarely misses, and this is definitely like something.
I feel like when you're really genuine with your intent, it's hard to miss, and I feel that's something about Beyonce. I feel this is very authentic on her side and very genuine.
That's the thing. And also, just to speak on this really quickly, just saying, like, I think it's always more impactful when public or celebrities speak out on big issues in their own specific way. Like, I was watching something, this is not related, but it's kind of related, but you know how Dave Chappelle did his little stand-up? That's gonna have more impact than him doing an interview or just tweeting something. Like, more people are gonna have eyes on it if he's on the stage doing comedy. So the fact that Beyonce's doing this in an artistic way, showing off these, beautiful brands, Black brands or whatnot, I think it's more impactful than her just tweeting like, "Hey, I stand with the Black community." Da da da. I mean, obviously she does, but I really like this, and artists doing their part in their own specific way, where they feel like they would have the most impact. I think that's more impactful than people coming out and trying to make a statement.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agreed. And she did something similar for Hurricane, which is that Hurricane Harvey?
Yeah.
No, that she did Mi Gente.
Hurricane Harvey
did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys saw No Name's tweet, but she also said that she's donating all of her profits from her song to Black businesses.
Which is
so it's all about being, I guess, authentic in what you do, and Beyonce, well, that's the best way for her at least to help and kind of donate to the cause. And I agree, because I think a lot of people are going to listen to that song, and a lot of people are going to gain from those proceeds. So kudos to that. And then finally, guys, on a more opposite note, Trump had his rally in Tulsa. We don't have to get into it, but one thing that is interesting is Tom Petty's family, the late Tom Petty, I believe his ex-wife and his daughters kind of are slamming Trump for playing I Won't Back Down at the Tulsa rally, saying that he basically does not have permission to play the song and send him a cease and desist. Yeah, and this happens a lot with Trump rallies. This is not in any means the first song, the first time that Trump has been asked to not play. I think Pharrell's done it, Gun and Roses. I remember that. Guns and
Actually,
Roses
what this reminded me of was Mitt Romney back in 2012 said, "Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose." Like from Friday Night Lights. Director and creator of that show came out and was like, no. Like, he's like, I don't, no, nothing about that was cool.
Wow.
So this was really similar to that, I thought.
So yeah, I guess y'all just have to hit up Rising Clearances a little bit quicker before you try to play somebody's song at these rallies, because there is a trend. And I guess I get it. You don't want your song to be, politicized, but I always think that's kind of funny when it happens. So I guess for the good stuff this week, for what we're really talking about, Phoebe Bridges, Avery.
Phoebe Bridges. Do we want to invite Grant on real quick?
You can give a little intro. I'll give him time to get on, but yeah, okay. You can give a little intro before we give on and introduce Grant, our special guest, our first 97 demo guest. So
very big moment.
Yeah.
So just going to Phoebe Bridges.
Yeah, and if he comes on, he'll come on. Yeah, it's all right.
Phoebe Bridges is the singer, songwriter, indie darling extraordinaire. She is famous for her own albums, along with her collaborative work with Julian Baker and Lucy Dacus on Boy Genius, and also Connor Oberst with Better Oblivion Community Center. which is one of my personal favorite albums. So when I knew that she was coming out with an album this year, it immediately like dropped to the top of my priorities for this year. And I know it's not necessarily Noah or Nnamdi's cup of tea when it comes to music, but I thought it would be really fun to get all three of us to listen to it and have our different perspectives on it. So yeah, I was really hyped for this album.
A big part of 97 Demo, I feel like you guys can weigh in on this, is the fact that we all have really wide music tastes, and I love the fact that we're not relegated to one genre. So this was different for Noah and I, but I think we both gained from it, right, Noah, from listening to this indie pop album, an album that maybe we wouldn't typically be too familiar with. But I am happy, we're exploring the genre.
Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wait for Grant to con. So yeah, this was definitely an interesting listen for me. I'm not gonna get into like my thoughts on the album yet, but definitely because I think lately we've obviously a lot of stuff's been, I don't know, rap, hip hop, pop based, because that's the stuff that gets the most attention anyways for the most part. You know, in terms of like news, what's being talked about on Twitter, what's trending all the time. I feel like by default that's a lot of stuff that's, you know, trending often. So it was kind of, and all the reviews we've done lately have been, I mean, we did Run the Jewels, which is rap. We did Drake, which is rap. So it's good to get a nice
change of pace.
Nice change of pace. So yeah.
Avery, why did you want to do specifically Phoebe Bridges as opposed to, I know you also have had a couple other pop releases or indie releases you've been big on. Why was this the album you wanted to be our first non-rap review?
I'm personally a huge fan of hers, but also she is like such a talented songwriter. And I thought that, you know, a big part of rap is listening to the lyrics and listening to what they're saying, especially the people that we've been listening to. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago we did Run the Jewels, it was very political and very politically charged. So their lyrics kind of require you to take a magnifying glass to them. And I think that with Phoebe Bridges, you can kind of do a similar thing where she uses these large extended metaphors, or she just says something funny sometimes and slips it into this really sad song, or she'll have a really upbeat sounding song, but it's actually something about something really depressing. And so I think it would have been fun, or it's going to be fun for us to like really dive into the lyrics here and kind of see the messages of each of these songs.
Okay, and if I'm someone who's not incredibly familiar with Phoebe Bridges, is there a bigger artist that she kind of compares to?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think you just need to jump. I don't know. I kind of got you guys to jump into this one kind of cold. So did you guys think it was beneficial to just like go into the deep end with this? Or did you feel like you needed maybe a little like taste test before you got into this?
Well, for me, I'd say it was definitely just like a jump into the cold end. I like that use of the word. But yeah, it was just kind of interesting just jumping in, because this is not music I listen to at all, like on a regular basis, or like even necessarily even dive into it. Like, oh, I'll try out this album. So honestly, at first, it was kind of hard to get my thoughts together, because I was like, I don't want to come off as like this guy who's like, I don't listen to it and just sound like totally oblivious about what the music is and be like, this is just absolute garbage, you know, or something like that, you know. But I think something that helped me with this review specifically, you know, this album, was like really breaking down the musicality of it. So like, I guess like the instrumentals, or not the instrumentals, but the instrumentation and whatnot. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about the behind of the specifics, but I'm pretty sure there was a lot of live instrumentation, because obviously people are playing guitar, people are playing drums and whatnot. So
yeah,
it felt it was an interesting listen to kind of break it down in a different way, because I'm used to listening to rap and being like, yeah, this beat bang or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So
you didn't find any of that on this album?
Huh? Well, we'll get into that, but we'll get into that. But yeah, so yeah.
So we keep on referencing who Grant is. And should we give a little explainer of, I guess, who that is and why he's coming on?
I got you. So Grant Sharples, he's our guest, is a freelance writer who has balance for Consequence of Sound, MTV News, Pace Magazine, Plug Magazine, just name a few of the publications he's worked for. And Grant recently did an interview with Phoebe Bridges with Consequence of Sound, which is, I feel like he'd be a great first guest on 97 Demo. he obviously, here it goes. He obviously discussed more than just the album. He discussed kind of her other inspirations about the song, different collaborations she had on it. But yeah, it was really good, a really good read. And hopefully, when he comes on, he can give more of a I guess a breakdown of how that conversation went. So yeah.
I learned a lot about Phoebe Bridges reading the interview, and I feel reading the interview and hearing her answer to some of Grant's questions about life in quarantine and the inspiration of her music kind of made it easier to listen to her music. So hopefully when he joins us, we'll be able to hop into that a little bit more and learn a little bit more about Phoebe Bridges on a personal level. But I guess until then, I guess we can jump into the music.
All right. So the first song on the album is kind of not really a song. It's kind of like it's called DVD Menu because it kind of sounds like what you would hear before you start a DVD. Yeah. But I thought what was interesting about it was that she sampled the last song of this album, but she also sampled the last song of her previous album. So she thought it would be like a good way to transition.
I read that.
Yeah. So she thought it would be a good transition.
Yeah. So yeah.
I thought that was kind of creative.
So y'all know I'm a sucker for a good intro track. I'm a sucker for like strings, and this I loved it. I love the feeling of suspense you kind of get listening to it, and I feel like that's kind of the point. You don't really know what's next. Scary. What's this journey? And I think that's why it's called DVD Menu, right? It's like the opening menu when you're trying to figure out where you're going next, like what the intro scene's gonna be. It's a great starter. And it builds suspense really well.
I definitely like when the first intro isn't even like a real song. It's just like a little thing of them talking or just some sound that just leads into the first track. I do like that on like pretty much any album. So I did enjoy that.
That's the thing though. I was listening to this really kind of dark feeling intro song that's building the suspense. I'm like, okay, what's next? But then it kind of feels like there's a 180 and we get into Garden Song.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this was the first single of the album.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's a pretty atypical single. I think with every single, the goal is to like generate a lot of interest, kind of make it very accessible. But this was very similar to some kind of music that you would hear on her previous album. It's kind of like an emo folk kind of vibe. So what did you guys think getting into this song as like the first official song on the album?
So I'll say that definitely doesn't sound like, obviously I'm not into this genre at all in general, but when I think about a single, the first thing I definitely think is a song that's generating interest, a song that's really easy to remember, songs that are really catchy normally, songs that have a popular, I don't want to say popular sound, but usually it's for a lot of people to see, honestly. So to get into this track, and it's obviously, I mean, a lot of these songs are slow anyway, but it was an interesting first single to have, and obviously it's the first track too. But yeah. So you can go ahead, Nnamdi. I'll go.
Yeah. So the way I felt about it, I like Avery, you made a good point earlier about Phoebe Bridges, and I now listening to this album, I've realized it's a thing, right? So she may give you a nice, pretty, beautiful beat, but then you kind of read beneath the surface and you realize, oh, this is actually really sad. And I feel like this song kind of started that for me because you hear the lyrics, and here's the part for people who don't need kind of help understanding how this song sounds. The scene in Marriage Story with Scarlett Johansson. It's also become a meme. Basically where she's just kind of the scene where she's just dancing,
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it felt. And that's how the first two songs, first kind of like two official songs on this album feel. And you read the lyrics and you realize that it's actually kind of really sad.
Grant's coming on.
Oh, good. We can resume our track by track later.
He's coming on.
Oh, Grant's here.
Hey,
Grant, what's up?
I made it.
Hey, Grant.
What's up, guys?
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
So good to see you.
Yeah, it's glad you can make it. Don't worry about it.
I was having some internet problems, but
it's fine.
It all worked out, so I'm here.
It's fine.
I'm gonna try and go into a wider room.
It's all good. So we actually started discussing the album already, but I guess since you're here already, we can start. I guess we can ask about your whole interaction with her, and I guess if you have the question first, Nnamdi, but go ahead, Nnamdi.
I was just gonna say we all read your article with Phoebe interviewing Phoebe Bridges, and one I want to say that's pretty cool. we all known Grant for a while now, so it was really cool reading that article and just saying that you got to interview her. So I just wanted to, I guess, starting off, like, any general insight from the interview. How was it talking to her, and how did she kind of like seem?
She was super nice. It was very surreal because I'm a big fan. And so I just pitched it to my editor, and he got back and he's like, yeah, let's run it. And I was like, oh, awesome. And so I reached out to her publicist, and they're like, you got 30, 40 minutes on the phone with her. She was super nice. She's really, really funny, which is kind of funny because her songs are so sad. But,
yeah,
like, she was just, she was very insightful. She was super kind. We talked about dogs. We talked about Margaret Atwood a little bit. It's not in the interview. We talked about Death Cab for Cutie, a band we both like. Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
That's good because, you know, one of the things that I kind of got from what her music sounded like me, this is something Avery, he's the guy who suggested we review this album, but this is not necessarily like a genre of music I listen to, but reading her lyrics, her experiences, it seems like what she's going through is kind of real. I know that's a kind of cliche term, but it kind of seems like what she goes through on a day-to-day basis is something that's similar to everybody else. And I'm not sure if I read this in yours or somebody else, because I read a lot of stuff about her, but she was discussing how, you know, being in quarantine is kind of similar. It's kind of interesting because everybody's kind of at home by themselves doing nothing. And in a way, she feels connected to her fans in that sense. So what did you get was like, I guess the inspiration for this whole album and releasing it during this time exactly? What do you think were her thoughts on that exactly? And how did she, you know, come across when she was talking about, you know, releasing this album during this crazy coronavirus pandemic time?
Yeah, that's something we talked about. Because one thing, she did like a virtual world tour where she like played in like her bed, she played in the kitchen, she played in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was that like? And she's like, one of like the standout things she said was like, the apocalypse is long and boring, but you know, like you said, everybody's at home, so we're all connecting to each other in that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of artists have been delaying their album releases to like summer or even fall. And then Phoebe was like, I don't really see the need to delay mine because I feel like right now music is something we need. And I thought that was a really good point, because at some point I feel like everybody was delaying their records, and then they're all just coming out at one time. And for people like music journalists, that's very stressful. And so it's nice to kind of have like them broken up like that. But I thought that was really good because we do need art and music right now, because there's so many stressful things going on. There's a global pandemic, there's police brutality, etc. Like we need music to listen to just kind of like calm down and kind of get like an expression, a form of catharsis in a way.
Yeah.
How did she seem kind of about, you know, how is she coping during a lockdown? Did she do anything? Did she talk about, is she going out? Is she making more music?
Yeah, I asked her, I was like, how have you been spending your quarantine? She lives in Silver Lake. And so she takes a lot of morning walks just to kind of like clear her head. That's how she starts every day. She says she's just kind of been writing music for fun, not necessarily thinking about what's coming of it, but just kind of like making the music, and then she's like, I'm just gonna make this for fun. If I use it for something cool, if I don't use it for something, that's. I'm a musician as well, and I think I need to do that more. Where it's just creating solely for yourself.
Yeah.
Great. I think in the interview you talked about how she was like attending protests and things like that. Is that another way? Did she talk about that at all?
She did briefly. She didn't talk about it much. I just asked her if she's been going out at all, and she's like, no, it's too weird right now. The only thing I went to was a protest. And honestly, that seems like probably one of the safer places to go, because at protests, they're like disinfecting everything. They're handing out masks and stuff. So probably safer than going some places like a restaurant where they're not cleaning down the surfaces and whatnot.
Absolutely.
I gotta add. Oh, go ahead, Nnamdi. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, this is kind of a lighthearted question because I gotta say, you know, all of us, I'm not sure about you, Grant, but all of us here are pretty much dog people. We all love dogs. I think we could all say we love dogs.
Oh, same, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Love dogs.
I'm a dog person.
Yeah, exactly. And I see you talk about getting a dog. How did that, you know, how'd you kind of, I guess, segue into asking that question? This is something that kind of just came up, like, hey, do you like dogs? Or like, how did that exactly come up? Because it's kind of interesting how she's talking about that.
It was a point where our conversation was starting to like come to a close, and we had kind of hit all the really important stuff. Yeah. And I know she's a big dog person. Like, I know she had a pug named Max, who she had him for a really long time, and he was really old, and he passed away. What's it say right here? Beginning of last year. So, and so I was like, "Do you think you're gonna get a new dog?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's like we're all at home, so I am like ready for like a companion. I'm ready to foster a dog." I'm trying to remember how it even came up. That's a good question. I don't know how it came up. It just kind of happened. Like we're talking because we're talking about like her morning walks and how that she does just kind of relax. And I was like, "You think you're gonna get a new dog?" Because in a way, that can kind of be a way of like relaxing. Like you're taking care of like this small creature who needs you. That can be like another way of like kind of getting something out. They probably make good snuggle partners.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Grant, so a couple of music questions for you. One thing that I thought was interesting. So this is, me and Noah are new to Phoebe Bridges. So I was reading your piece, and one thing after this, as I was listening, I got to, I think Punisher is when it starts, and there's like 4 straight slower songs. And when you're new to indie pop as a whole, that can kind of be like, oh, okay, this feels like I'm almost getting lost. But in your article, she actually says that she felt part of this album was a little bit more energetic or upbeat. So could you kind of talk about, did she talk about sort of the direction she wanted to go with the album, or why that was the case, or she wanted something that was more upbeat and energetic?
Yeah, she said that was something I asked her directly, because that was something I noticed too. I was like, because her first album was like all pretty slow songs, whereas this one, there are a handful of stuff that's like more energetic, a little bit louder, like songs like Kyoto, which is the 3rd track, and then there's Chinese Satellite, and then the last track toward the end, it starts to like kind of build and get louder. Yeah. And so I was like, what was like the impetus behind that? And she said like playing live, where she would do it as like a treat to herself to break up the monotony of her set. Just because playing slow sad song after slow sad song, she's like, oh, okay. She's like, I need something a little peppier to kind of like liven up my live set.
Did she talk about how like songs on like Better Oblivion Community Center were more upbeat, and did those inspire her to make more upbeat songs? Because it seems like on Boy Genius and with Connor Oberst, she did start to make more upbeat songs, which I thought was a lot different than Stranger in the Alps.
Yeah, Stranger in the Alps is very slow. We didn't talk about like direct like what you're asking, but we talked about just how collaboration has kind of made her feel more confident as an artist, where she's really able to believe in the ideas that she has rather than just kind of like be on the fence about them. And she said Connor Oberst was a big influence there. She used to listen to Bright Eyes as like a teenager. She'd just like geek out over Bright Eyes, and now they're like best friends, and they made a whole album together. And I think Connor Oberst, he had a lot of influence on this record too, where he was giving her all sorts of ideas and kind of like instilling in her this confidence in herself to believe in her work. And I think from that alone, just like the collaboration of her friends with like Julian Baker and Lucy Dacus and all those guys, like that gave her the confidence to make, like, that's not to say that her work before is bad. Like, it was still really good. But to me, Punisher is like leaps forward in so many ways. And I think it's because of all that collaboration she did.
So album name Punisher, upon first, hearing, I think of metal, heavy rock, music. Did you talk about why she chose the name Punisher for this album, and if there's kind of, if there's meaning behind that?
Yeah. So, the reason she called it Punisher is like, I was reading an interview with her where she said in the music industry, artists call like the super fans who hang out at the merch table way too long and kind of like harass the artist, they call them punishers. And they kind of almost call it like fansplaining, where they try to prove how big of a fan they are to the artist, and it's like kind of creepy how much they know about them. And so she's like, and someone she really enjoys is the late indie rocker Elliott Smith, who used to live in Silver Lake, and I think he died in the late 90s. I can't remember directly. I don't know a lot about Elliott Smith. I wish I did. But she was like, yeah, the idea of Punisher is that she's had a fair share of Punishers herself, but she was envisioning herself as the Punisher for Elliott Smith. And that's what the entire title track is about. Her living in Silver Lake and occupying the space that Elliott Smith once occupied, and just kind of feel like he's like a ghost and she's inhabiting his world now. And it's weird as like a super fan thinking about that, because she was like, if he were alive, I probably would have run into him by now. And she's like, and I probably wouldn't be the most fun person for him to talk to. I would be his Punisher.
It's kind of interesting. Go ahead, Nnamdi, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, it's kind of interesting because, you know, I think a lot of people, I could speak to being that kind of fan if I met my favorite artist or whatnot. And it's kind of interesting how that's the relatable part about her. And I guess, I mean, I'm not necessarily like, I haven't listened to her music extensively, but I'm assuming that's why a lot of people, gravitate toward her music, because that's a real feeling that a lot of people would have towards their favorite artist. And she's like, yeah, I'm that too, even though
it's like a stan. It's like a new word for stan.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I mean, I've done it before.
Yeah.
I'm a really big Arcade Fire fan, and I was at their show, and in the distance, I see the singer Win Butler, and I'm there with my then girlfriend, now my fiance, and I didn't even think to say anything. I like power walked over to him, and I was like, I'm Grant. I'm your biggest fan. I'm so excited for your show. And he was probably like, this guy is a weirdo. But he was super nice. He was like, I was like, can I get a picture? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not doing pictures right now. And I'm like, okay. I was like way too excited and over eager, and he probably thought I was a total weirdo.
Yeah.
So Grant, I don't know how much more time we have, so really quick, just this album, what did you think? What were some of your favorite tracks?
Chinese Satellite's one of my favorites, but I think my favorite is the last track, I Know the End.
Me too.
It's like this nearly 7-minute song, and I like how it's like kind of broken up into different parts, almost like a symphonic piece in a way. Mm-hmm. I think I've decided that might be like my favorite song I've heard all year. Wow. And Punisher is probably somewhere being close to my album of the year, if not somewhere probably like my top 5. But I Know the End, that is, that's such a great track.
See, I know that I Know the End was the one, because upon first listen, as someone who just listens to pretty much rap, even that song, when I got to that song, it was like, I knew. Like, first listen, I know, like, oh, this is the one. I love the build up. I love how it starts out slowly, kind of turns into this like nice, huge ending of a track. So definitely agree with you there.
Yeah.
How does this compare to some?
I asked her what her favorite track was, like the track she was most proud of, and she said it was that one. And then also, if you notice at the end, this part's not in the article, but out of curiosity, I asked her, I'm like, what's that sound at the end of the song?
Bruh.
And she was like, it's me breathing, and it's supposed to be like a crowd cheering me on after I'm done. And I was like, oh, so you're like recreating like the live concert experience when we literally can't go to shows. And she was like, yeah, in a way.
I was thinking it was either that or it was her crying or something like that. And she was like, but that's what I was thinking, like the sound. So that's interesting.
Yeah, the first time I listened, I thought she was crying at the end of it.
Yeah, I thought she was crying.
She was like screaming.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. So I'm like, what is that? Because I just thought it would be fun to ask. And she was like, it's supposed to be like a crowd. I'm like, oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So Grant, if you had to give it a 1 to 10, even though I hate, making people do this, but if you had to, what do you think you'd give it?
Oh, geez. Today I'm feeling like a 9, probably. I love this album. I think it's really, really good.
Good, man. That's good. Mm-hmm. Well, if you have nothing else, if Avery, you don't have any other questions, we don't want to keep you on for too long, Grant, but really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really enjoy your tweets and your Twitter and your articles.
Oh, thank you.
You have a good
Can we
Twitter.
shout out his Twitter? Can we shout out
Yeah,
Grant's Twitter real quick, or at least show it?
Yeah.
Grant's been published
thank you.
multiple times, so you know, give him a read.
You like my cover photo?
But yeah, Grant, it was really nice talking to you. Again, appreciate you for coming on, and hopefully get to read some more of your work soon.
Yeah, thanks, Nnamdi. Yeah, it was nice seeing all you guys again. We go way back, so thanks for
Way
having
back.
me on.
No problem. Thanks, Grant.
Grant.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So I had no clue that the sound on the end was supposed to be people cheering. I actually thought it was either her breathing or supposed to be like her smoking or something. And I
actually really like
fun
that. I
insight.
think that's hilarious.
I think
Right?
I like that idea, but yeah, I do like that. I did assume she was like screaming, but I also was like, I thought she was crying. But
Well, she does scream at the end of it, and then
Yeah.
she's out of breath by the end of it or something.
That's what I was thinking. She's like, yeah. But Kyoto, I think that's what we were.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for those just joining us, I'm ready for saying that when we put this on YouTube, we're gonna have a thing like Grant interview starts here. So if you missed the first our review of Garden Song, just rewind a little bit. We basically said we all liked it and it was optimistic but kind of sad at the same time. So
Kyoto. Let me give my thoughts on this track. So this is one of my favorite tracks on the project, and I'll say, going from DVD Menu to Garden Song to Kyoto, I was like, oh, this is more upbeat. This is one of the songs I enjoyed more on the album. Yeah, it was the first Taeyong song, more upbeat. I love the drums on it. I love anytime she had drums or any kind of bass or any kind of 808s or something like that. I love that. And also I have to admit, the horns on the chorus.
Oh my god,
that was fire. I can't even lie. That was fire.
Let me say this. So much of the music we've listened to this year have been really, really heavily produced songs. Songs that either incorporate, a lot of computer sound, songs that incorporate this, that are layered, that are super complex. I just think about RTJ, the last album we really kind of talked about. A lot of rap albums are that way. It was almost refreshing being able to listen to an album that had such simple instrumentation. It wasn't it wasn't simple and by any means. It was still very complex and layered, but it was
minimalistic.
It was very minimalistic, and that was so refreshing to hear. Even in her upbeat songs, songs that feel, radio friendly or digestible or crossover hit-ish, they all still felt that way. It made listening to it very, very easy and kind of light. And Kyoto for me continues that. The idea, and I remember Genius says it, that she says it was just kind of when she was on tour in Kyoto and just had a day off, And that's how it feels when you hear this beat. It kind of just feels fun and free and light and just like whatever,
She has this quote about this song where she says, I miss the life I complained about. How quarantine, I think, has all made us miss the life that we kind of hated to begin with. So
that is true. But Avery showed us the music video also, and I also read this, that originally the music video was going to be like her walking around Kyoto, like just around. But then I like it more that it's just a green screen in the back.
Green screen.
I kind of like that more. I kind of like that more than her just kind of walking around.
It feels real. I love artists who have been able to adapt everything they're doing to lockdown and to COVID, because that's what we've had to do, right? So I love the fact that she got up and said, okay, I can't go to Kyoto, but we got this green screen and I got a nice budget.
Let's make this happen.
Let's go. We can make something happen. I think Kyoto to me also kind of sums up what we've been saying about the album, right? How it's like super sad lyrics, mass under an up-tempo beat.
It's about her dad.
Avery, about her dad one, and then just like you said, one of the bars I took, I wanted to see the world and I flew over the ocean and I changed my mind. It's such a, we hear that so often, and it's just really sad and kind of, about being, away from people you love and but just maxed under this beat that makes you just wanna,
I wanted to see the world through your eyes until it happened, then I changed my mind. Guess I lied. I'm a liar. Who lies? Because I'm a liar.
Yeah, man.
And if you listen to the song, you'd have no idea that she's calling herself a liar in this beat. You'd be too busy with your hands up dancing. I said Garden Song was my Scarlett Johansson song, but it's really Kyoto. Kyoto's really
for sure.
Yeah.
So now we get into the title track, which Grant touched on, which is about this idea of a punisher, someone who just talks to the artist nonstop and tries to explain how big of a fan they are.
Yeah, it's kind kind of like a stan, but I feel like a stan, you know, is kind of the guy that like they're gonna defend their favorite artist no matter what. It's kind of like the subset of a stan.
Yeah, exactly. This is a stan like subspecies.
Subspecies of a stan. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, I'm a big fan. I know all your that kind
Have you
of.
guys had a Punisher moment? Because I have. I almost did. I almost had it with Saba.
No, I haven't, because I haven't met an artist that I haven't like that I've stanned yet or like been a huge fan of. It hasn't happened to me, but
Oh my god, I have an example and it's so embarrassing. I don't even know if I want to say it. It's someone who I didn't know I was a stan of, but I just acted so stanish towards. So I had a friend who was related to Jennifer Hudson, and long story short, I got into a FaceTime call with Jennifer Hudson and absolutely embarrassed myself. It was horrible. I look back at that moment with such disgust because she's in there and I'm like, you're Jennifer Hudson. I loved you in Dreamgirls. It was so bad. That's like that was the lesson I needed so that now moving forward, if I meet anyone, I can like, yo, what's up? Like,
what's up?
What's your name?
I feel like this is like,
cool.
I feel like knowing what a Punisher is and hearing her explanation of it feels like some sort of like really good insight into like how an artist thinks.
And and how you should act as a fan.
You should approach them, right? Yeah, like artists don't want to hear how big of a fan you are of them. I'm sure they appreciate you being like saying I'm a big fan, but not necessarily proving it to them because they probably believe you.
Yeah, so. I agree.
But yeah, this is a very visual song, I thought. Kind of talking about how she's walking through this neighborhood, envisioning meeting this man, Elliot Smith, kind of envisioning herself as the Punisher, as someone who's experienced that kind of person.
Yeah, which I feel was nice to her fans too, You know
what's interesting too? This is something I noticed while actually reading the lyrics. This isn't necessarily specific to this song, but it's not like the songs are short or anything. Like the songs are full songs. Like I say, average of 3.5 minutes, which is nice, But when I read it, there's not a lot of lyrics. Like obviously but like when you look at it, there's like 2 verses and a little, there might be a bridge and a chorus, but the songs aren't long. Like they're not.
She packs a lot into these.
She packs a lot in there, and that's interesting to say that because I was like, it feels like each song is really full, even though it's a short project overall. Because it's only 10, 11 tracks, but she's not saying a lot, but she's saying.
Yeah. I know, and I think that just goes to like, I think she's one of the best songwriters like out right now, and I think this album just further proves how much she's able to just convey in these short, tiny, like 3 lines here.
Yeah,
where like she's talking about hiding at a drugstore because it's the best place to hide in plain sight because this guy might come by it, so that she can talk to him.
Yeah,
and that's why I love the fact that she intros this idea and this topic, which I'm sure if you're a fan at home and you're a Punisher, and maybe you are Phoebe Bridges' Punisher, or you're thinking about the fact that like, oh my gosh, she hates it. I think it's really nice for her to say, well, I'm this too for this person, or I would have been for this person, so I get it, but that doesn't make it any less kind of like creepy and hard on me, And another interesting insight is the idea of hiding in plain sight, which I read about, and her saying that she would just walk into, like you were saying, Avery, she'll just walk into a random store, and it's crazy to think that these celebrities literally for them, if they want to hide, they may just go into like your average place. I'm sure once you get to a certain level you can't do that, but I think
where she was in Target walking around for 3 hours.
Yeah, she was like, just go to Target and walk around for 3 hours, isn't that so
it was an interview a couple of months ago, I think it was with Rolling Stone, but they did the interview at a CVS, like she was just walking out of CVS, and it's just, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And like I call this song the start of the trek of slow songs. I think after this we have like 3 straight slower songs, and I think this is my favorite of the 4 slow songs. Okay. Just as far as like instrumentation and production goes, I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Sonically, I think the song's really cool. I like the chorus a lot. I think it's really dreamy. It goes very high pitched and it sounds very ethereal, I think. And then the line that I thought was pretty funny was, "I'm not angry, that's just my face," which I thought was pretty funny. I don't know, any takeaways from this song specifically?
I mean, I definitely agree that it was great instrumentation, great music. I mean, I don't want to give all of my thoughts away at the end because I feel like when we get into more of the songs, but yeah, so I definitely, out of the slow songs, I'd say this is one of my favorite ones. Out of the slower songs, out of the slower tracks, this is one of the ones I enjoyed more, I would say.
I would say coming off Kyoto and going into Punisher solidified this idea for me that, wow, she's a really good songwriter and storyteller, specifically storyteller. Because if you close your eyes and listen, you can kind of envision it, right? And I think artists that can make you do that without it being too confusing or too abstract, I think that's talented. I think that requires a lot of skill. So she does that well.
Yeah.
From Punisher, we get into Halloween.
Oh, I take it back because this is actually my favorite. I'm a Halloween fan. I was a big fan.
I
forgot this is the next. No, well, because I remember I spent a lot on the slow songs because I think the slower songs took me a bit longer to kind of warm up to, just because I'm so used to listening to fast-paced, harder, heavier music. But I loved Halloween on this purely for the instrumentation. You know, it was, you know, I wrote this down, you guys, so just know that I use big words in my normal day-to-day. But I said the simple coalescence of strings that she had just on this song. I was such a fan, you know, it has sounded so well put together. And it affirmed that she's good at painting a picture. And she said, I guess about the topic, it's about a dead relationship, but it doesn't have a nice ending. Like I said, you know, the relationship dies. There's no like big aha. That's just what the song is, you know?
Yeah. I think it's about loving something. And this song kind of explores the levels of love. And I thought a really cool way she did that was, in the second verse, she says, "I'm always surprised by what I do for love, some things I never expect. They killed a fan down by the stadium. Was only visiting. They beat him to death." This is about that Dodger fan like a year ago. They got murdered in the parking lot.
Yeah.
In Dodger Stadium. And so I think to her, the idea of people loving sports so much they're willing to murder someone over it was a interesting way to weave it into this theme about a dead.
There was a lot of death on this album, y'all. A lot of people died on this album because, you know, I made this comparison because this is unrelated kind of, but like I was like, man, I was listening to this rap. I remember we were talking on a rap. I was like, man, a lot of people died on this album. You know, people get shot. And then I'm over here listening to this, you know, indie pop, and I was like, hey, a lot of people dying on this album. A lot of people getting murked on this album. That's all I gotta say. But yeah.
I also really enjoyed Connor Oberst showing up on this. He did Better of Living Community Center with her, and that's one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to hear that he was like popping in on the song. Their voices just complement each other so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we want to get into, I mean, I don't want to be that guy, guys, but
and the next one.
No, not that. I'm talking about specifically with these slower tracks. I definitely agree with Nnamdi. These were the ones for me that were harder to get into. And when the first time I listened to an album, I don't know if this is for you guys, but the first thing that has to catch me is like sonically, I have to like it. You know, sonically, I have to be like, oh, I catch it, and then you're listening to it. So obviously, I'm not saying the music was bad or anything. It's just for me personally, the slower songs weren't songs that really caught me at first, and I was like, ooh, turn that up. You know, it's not necessarily that kind of music necessarily for me, but.
And like I said, so I always praise a short album purely because I can listen to it a lot. And especially when we're going to talk about an album or review an album, I always say I'm going to give the album enough time. I'm going to try to warm up to it just to give it an anchor. Listen to the album probably 4 or 5 times, and it was by the third listen through that I said, okay, these slow songs actually have some substance. And that's when I realized how much I enjoyed Halloween, because I started really listening to the lyrics underneath the strings, you know?
Yeah.
And like we just been saying, I love the chorus, and I just love the storytelling in it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely good storytelling, definitely good lyrics. Now, the next track, I must say, another one of my favorite tracks on the project. Now, when the song first comes on, I was like, oh, this is another slow one. Okay. But around the second verse, that's when the drums start coming in. It was like a da-da-dum. I don't remember how to exactly say it. But I was like, oh, it's good. So this is definitely one of my more favorite tracks, like, you know, one of my songs I enjoyed more on the album because it was obviously more upbeat, a lot more drums. I really enjoyed that more. I would say this is not like a bad thing whatsoever, but the songs that had like the really slow guitar and whatnot, it was good, but there were songs that I was less in tune with than the songs that had the drums with that were a little more upbeat and whatnot. And to me, you know, Grant also said the examples of her trying to be more upbeat and have more concert-y type songs, those are the songs that I feel like she made on this album, and those are the songs I gravitated to more on this particular project.
Yeah. And for this one, I will agree with Noah in the sense that I had to kind of force myself to stop expecting bangers, you know, like this indie rock isn't that, you know, and I just had to make myself accept that. And once I was able to do that, and I guess I think that happened by the third listen, that's when I was really able to enjoy the album. And with this song, I enjoyed it more so for the concept of this painting. I always look at the first line in a verse because, you know, just like when you're writing an article, like the lead sentence, your lead is everything, right? So I've been running around in circles pretending to be myself, and instantly I was like, oh, this is probably about fame. You know, this idea of you're not allowed to have a down day or a sad day. You just have to go, and just pretend. And if you go to the chorus, I thought it was a tongue-in-cheek way of making fun of the idea of shooting upon a star, right? Just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to see the stars, but they weren't out tonight. So I wish hard on a Chinese satellite. I want to believe. Instead, I look at the sky and I feel nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And then when I read about the song, and she's already making fun of wishing upon a star, hoping for luck, but really nothing's gonna happen because, you know, it's probably a satellite, not even a star. Then you read it and it's just about faith and religion. And I was like, oh, this is layered. So not only is she a songwriter who does it, she's like, she can really put complex messages and ideas. And I'm all for being analytical with music. So I love when artists makes me kind of work to understand what they're saying. And that's what this was, right? So on one level, it's yes, wishing upon a Chinese satellite and you look goofy thinking it's a star and hoping that'll just do it. But at the same time, it's about, you know, I have no faith. I don't believe in religion. I believe in science. You know, it causes a lot of fights, a lot of division, and yeah, I feel nothing at all that stuff.
Yeah.
So not to get like super deep or anything, but I like heavily related to this song because I'm not a religious person myself. So a lot of these lyrics were like, I had this desire back when I was a little younger, like in high school and maybe a little earlier than that in middle school. A lot of my friends were religious and I saw them leaning on it in hard times and it providing them some sort of comfort. And I always felt bad that I didn't have that myself. So when she says like, instead I look at the sky and I feel nothing, or I want to believe, and I just like, she just can't make that leap. I just completely like related to the song in that way. And so I thought the message of the song was like, to me, stuck out a lot.
And
as one of the more prominent songs on the album.
And just looking at this Genius description, her saying, you know, this song is about turning 11 and not getting a letter from Hogwarts, just realizing that nobody's going to save me from my life. Nobody's going to wake me up and be like, hey, just kidding. That to me just kind of summed it up, right? Like this idea of you're on your own. There's no like special power that's going to lift you up and make it happen for yourself.
I mean, she starts off that description with "I have no faith." So.
Well, yeah. Well, no, of course, this isn't specific to me or anything by any means. I'm just saying, in her eyes, it's this idea. Of
absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
I also like how she rhymed evangelicals with vegetable. That was fun. But then she also talks about believing in aliens at the end of the song.
You know, honestly, when I first heard this track and I was reading her description, I was really confused at first. I was like, what is she talking about? I'm not gonna lie. When I was reading the description, I was like, Hogwarts, I was like, I'm lost. But then I'm with you that she kind of brings the theme back around. Because the thing, I don't know if you guys took this, but you know, some of her descriptions are really personal. And obviously, if you don't necessarily know about it, if you don't do your research, you're not gonna pick it up at first. And so that's why while I'm trying to listen to lyrics, just listening to it, I'm a little confused sometimes just listening to it, even though it's not like she's singing fast or, you know, you don't understand what she's saying. But I actually had to like read these lyrics to kind of get what she's saying about, you know, obviously this whole description about her having no faith in the Hogwarts thing. I was confused at first reading all that, but, you know, as you listen to it and read the lyrics, it kind of comes around, which I really do appreciate her kind of sticking with the theme. And even though it might, you know, she might give other things that you might not understand, she kind of brings it all back by the end of the song. And
I don't know if we find a pattern here, but I believe this is the midpoint of the album. This is like a midpoint song.
Yeah.
Then we go on to the next song, which is probably the saddest song on the album.
Saddest song on the album. Now, I feel like every track she's kind of referring to a specific, you know, relationship. You know, she's talking about a relationship she's having, whoever it's with. You know, I think Avery mentioned one was about her dad and whatnot. Now, this is the one where I specifically came across, like she was talking about a specific guy she had a relationship with. So this song specifically, I just gotta say this one lyric, and I was like, dang, this is kind of messed up, but it's real. She said, "We hate tears in heaven, but it's sad that his baby died." So I was like, okay. When I heard that, I was like, whatever. I don't know who that is, but I read it and I was like, so there's a song written by this English singer, songwriter, guitarist Eric Clapton after the tragic death of his 4-year-old son. So I was like, that's kind of messed up. She said, I hate this song, but your son died. I mean, obviously, it wasn't like in a mean way or anything like that, or she was trying to be disrespectful in any kind of way. It's just real. It's like, I didn't like this song, but all due respect. I think that's another part of this that kind of makes the whole theme of her just being real and a normal person like everybody else. It's what really brought it around for a lot of people.
I like this metaphor that she has on the song about being like a dog with a bird at your door.
Yeah.
Dogs just come up with dead animals and like they want you to be proud of them, but you're like, what are you doing? This is disgusting. Yeah. And I think she said this song is about being in a relationship with someone who hates themselves, right? And they feel like you're stupid and you feel like you're stupid. And I thought this metaphor of a dog bringing a dead animal to your door is like the perfect way to sum that up.
That's real though.
It is just kind of trying to offer what you feel is your best and learning that it's not good enough.
And
that's what this spoke to me, or at least I felt with this song. Sort of this idea of wanting to fix something, and dealing with everything that comes with that, whether it's fighting or yelling, complaining, but still not wanting to lose that person, even though it may not be the best thing for either of you. That's how I kind of felt about it.
Yeah.
And then it gets really sad at the end. Like everything kind of piles on in this last outro where she says, "You're sick and you're married and you might be dying."
Oh,
that is like.
But you're holding me like water in your hands. Oof.
And then you saw the dead little bird. You started crying, but the killer doesn't understand. Like the dog.
Man, people get murked on this dang album.
Yeah.
People get murked on this dang album. Hey, she's
this
sad.
But outro is so sad.
People getting murked. Yeah, it's. I will say a lot of these songs, these lyrics, reading it was really sad and depressing to read. I will say.
Yeah, and I would say of my slow track, as I call this middle portion of the album, this is my least favorite. Maybe because it would just felt so somber. I think out of all the songs, this one feels the most somber. It's very
minimalist. It's very sad, somber.
Yeah. Now the next song though, I do.
Yeah,
this is my favorite song on the album.
Favorite song on the album. I see. I like the way it transitioned, not because like sonically. I mean, obviously sonically, I get it transitions, but I like the theme of how it transitioned because she was kind of talking about this. Obviously, she's in a relationship with this person that hates themselves and how that feels. And now, I don't know exactly how you guys took it, but now obviously, the song's called Savior Complex, and it's this idea of like a guy who comes in and tries to save you or something like that, or even if it's you or something like that. So it's kind of like the opposites, but it's kind of like a similar theme, but it's like her going from one relationship to the next.
She called this song the spiritual successor to the sequel.
Exactly.
No, like even completely agreeing with what you're saying. To me, it doesn't even feel like a new relationship. It feels like the same relationship. Like maybe you were in a bad situation and made it work. Yeah. And now you're like still not happy, and you're finding that like this it still just feels kind of like you're trying to save this person, but you realize that there's just it does not feel good,
Yeah. I think a big misnomer about relationships, especially in this generation, is that you're supposed to be fixing the other person and molding them to be like you. And we might get too caught up in that all the time. And that's kind of like starts to be the beginning of the end of a lot of relationships, is when you start trying to I'm going to save you, I'm going to fix you. And I think that's what this song is about.
Wake up and start a big fire in our one-room apartment, but I'm too tired to have a pissing contest.
Yeah,
all the bad dreams that you hide, it's how you really feel. Show me yours and I'll show you mine. Like I love it.
It's interesting because she says, it's right there. She says, sonically, it's one of the only songs I've ever written in a dream. Now I don't know what that means, but that's interesting.
It sounds dreamy though.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I think the song is so beautiful sonically. The guitars that are under it, and her voice is like dancing on them, and then the ending with the string arrangement was like absolutely beautiful. I was kind of like stunned the first time I heard this song,
and that's why I love it, and that's why I think it was such a good ending to the slow songs that we kind of get, because it's just so beautiful,
Yeah,
it's so pretty. It's so. Yeah. This is like where her voice really shines to me. Is that like this? Her voice is just so pretty on these guitars. I thought.
Got you. Yeah, definitely. Now Nnamdi was thinking this is kind of the slow end to the slow tracks. Now this is when it gets to probably my favorite song on the.
Yeah, because ICU is like the wake up.
It's I'm sorry, y'all. I have to admit there was a couple times I was listening to where I fell asleep. It's not.
To everything.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, but ICU, the way it comes
like,
in,
boom, I'm awake now.
I mean, I love when tracks start off like that, where it's like dun 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 dun. Like any track like that. So
totally agree.
Between this and Kyoto, this is probably one of my favorite tracks on the whole project. So yeah.
Yeah, and Nnamdi, what do you think about this song? Because this is the third single off of the album. This is the final single.
See, and that makes sense. But I think the only shocker here for me is that Garden song was the lead. But I guess if it sounds like her older work, that makes sense. Because like I would have, if you asked me, Nnamdi, what do you think the single were? I would have said Kyoto, I See You. Because I enjoyed the song a lot. And I wrote down dark optimism or hopeful pessimism. I don't know why, but that's how I felt upon listening to it the first time. But I felt it was about either being darkly optimistic, so hoping for the best, despite knowing that it's probably not likely, or hopeful pessimism, expecting the worst, but just hoping it's not the worst.
Mm-hmm. So this song is about her drummer.
Yeah, I saw that.
A relationship with her drummer.
Yeah.
And the song is about the guy who's drumming on the album.
Yeah, it's like,
you're like starting to like, you see the music or something, you're like, oh wait, why does this seem so familiar?
Yeah, I was like, I was like, I was like, wow, I wonder what it was like recording this.
Imagine the mom sitting here listening to this album. I hate your mom, and I hate it when she opens her mouth. It's amazing to me how much you can say when you don't know what you're talking about. Damn.
That's one of my favorite lines too. That's a great line. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, that's
what you're talking about.
I don't know, how the mom feeling about that? I love this track. Whoa, what's going on? Yeah, definitely one of my favorite tracks. And again, I like the tracks where the music is giving me more energy, and it's more upbeat. I want to say louder, but definitely more energy on these tracks. It's definitely why I enjoy this track.
It also, she kind of touches on depression on this song too, saying like, I've been playing dead my whole life, and I get this feeling that whenever I feel good, it'll be the last time.
Yeah.
And what song is she talking about depression?
You're right. You're absolutely
you're right. I'm joking.
Like that's the line that I feel sums up what this album kind of is. Like that, the line, and I wrote that down too. Is the line that kind of like, I get this feeling whenever I feel good, it'll be the last time. That's like the dark optimism that I feel like is this throughout this entire album.
I also feel like it's, kind of right to point out too. Avery said that because on Genius it says ICU spelled out, and on the album when I have it saved, it's ICU, like I see you.
Like intensive care unit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. Avery pointed out how she felt like she had to kind of change the name, because of the whole COVID thing and how it was kind of insensitive. But I don't know what's the deal with that. Did she change it and then change it back and then change?
I guess it's back now. I mean, I felt like in every interview I read with her, she made a big deal out of the fact that she changed the name of the song. But also, I think on one of the earlier tracks, I think it was Halloween, she says, I live near a hospital, and I joke about people dying. Whenever I hear the sirens, I joke that someone's dying. And so I think the fact that it's spelled out ICU also kind of plays along with that theme of being near a hospital and being near death, I guess.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And
this leads into Graceland 2, which for me, this felt like a beautiful song, but it was one that I felt didn't leave too much of a big impact on me.
Bro, this is my least favorite track on the album.
I do agree with that. I mean, I like every song on this album, but this is probably my least favorite.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I don't hate guitar. I like guitars. I do not like that little folk guitar in the back.
Oh yeah, so this was the most country of the song.
Yes. Okay. I did not like that at all. I did not like.
This is about the story of the song. She's driving to Memphis, right? And which, I mean, a lot of singers sing about their drive to Memphis because it's the place where Elvis is from. It's where Graceland is.
Yeah.
And she says, I predictably wind up thinking about Elvis. So I thought I liked the country vibe to it. I really did.
I like the country vibe. I definitely don't think it's bad, but even in my indie rock, when I'm getting into my indie rock bag after this, and I want to go back to my Phoebe Bridges rotation, will this song come up? Most likely not bad though. I'm not gonna say any tracks are like bad or like the lyrics I didn't like the music behind it. I did not like the music behind this track. Other tracks I could be like, oh, okay, I get it. I just didn't think it was good in my opinion, because I don't like that at all. But I definitely
this was something that I feel like would be kind of more musically kind of fit on her last album as well, because that was very folky, and this kind of goes back to that. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, no, she actually says that too. Gloria Sand 2 is the closest thing to the folk of the first record. A country flavor. Down.
Sorry.
I thought it was gonna sound crazy when I said
country flavor ballad that bridges real quickly. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Also, it's about an MDMA trip. Interesting.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, definitely more country, and I personally really liked it. But I did not. This is probably. I think I was listening to it the first time. I was like, no, it's not gonna like this song.
Everyone was like,
oh, no, it's not gonna. I was like, no way.
Avery, but you know the next song is where I get into my bag. That's my real indie rock
The
bag.
next song is. I was.
This is my favorite song
away.
on the album, and I told Avery this earlier, so you know it's real. And do I think it's a coincidence that it's also Grant's favorite song? No, because good taste knows good taste. That's what that is. This song is my favorite because I like the writing and I like the build up a lot. Big fan of the build up.
Have you guys heard "Welcome to the Black Parade" by My Chemical Romance?
Beyonce. Oh.
No. I didn't know he was gonna say Beyonce. I was like, no Beyonce now.
Not the song that came out this week. No, the song that came out like years ago.
Yeah, no.
The indie rock car just got snatched. Like Beyonce.
No, I'm kidding. I know you're talking about My Chemical Romance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, My Chemical Romance. This reminded me so much of that song, where it starts off with this like kind of slow. That song starts out very slow. This song starts off a little faster than that. But it's like by the end of it, it's this like kind of rock, very rock anthem kind of thing.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that.
Well, I don't know if you got this from just thinking about it, but she said, I wanted to have a metal song. And she did say, she said, hold up.
Right
it's definitely half a bell. Exactly. Did you read that?
No, I did not.
That's crazy. Because she said, well, what genre is My Chemical Romance? Welcome to the Black Parade.
And I love the fact that the song reminds me of what she said she wants to do. She was like, by the time I got to the end of the album, there's a bunch of things I had on a to-do list. I wanted to scream. I wanted to have a metal song. I wanted to write about driving up to the northern coast of California. I don't know what that last one means, but the first two she gets to do. She builds up to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this song it's about the end of the world, which I feel like we all feel like we're in right now. So
yeah, it's real. Like a lot of these songs.
Oh, she also brings up this thing again about and when I call you come home, a bird in your teeth.
Ooh. But I definitely
calls back to that line.
I definitely like the tracks. I'm a big fan of ending tracks that like are really big. It feels like a lot. Not it feels big. Like, oh my gosh,
it almost feels celebratory, right? Even
exactly.
It almost feels like a big revelation, celebration.
Yeah, not even necessarily celebratory, but I get what you're saying. But like, it seems like this is the track that they spent the most time on. This is the track where it feels like they have the most,
It's the longest song, I
It's
believe.
the longest song. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like this is the beat switched a little, or the music in the background switched some way through the song. Did it? Okay,
kind of like right here.
Exactly. Yeah, okay.
It's exactly 2.5 minutes into the song, because I'm listening good to it as we speak. So
7 minutes long. It's 7 minutes long.
This third verse is like incredible. I love it so much.
I
can like hear it in my head as I'm reading it.
It's like the longest verse on the project too.
Yeah. I was Windows down, scream along to some America First rap country
song.
That's hilarious. America First. She brings up like Donald Trump. It's hilarious.
Yeah. She's a comedian.
She's a comedian.
I'm glad we got confirmation from Grant about what she was doing at the end.
I know. That might be my favorite detail about this album is that she's trying to recreate a crowd noise when we all can't go see concerts right now.
Well, at first I was kind of taken aback and I was like, what is going on? I was like, what is this?
Is she crying?
Honestly, I thought it was like one of those, this is going to be weird, but those weird like psychotic cries in movies where like they're crying but they're laughing too. It's like, I was like, is she okay? Is she laughing or crying? Little laugh cry. So, but it's good that
I thought she was out of breath.
Oh yeah, she was like,
She is screaming at the end of while the music's building up, the horns and the violin.
I thought that too, but I thought it was either one of those. So.
And by the time you get to the end of the song, you almost forget what the beginning of the song was, how slow it was. Because I'm like, right now, the big drums, big guitar, horns, like you forget that at the beginning it was very, very slow and kind of just like, it's not how it ends at all. At all.
Oh, also, there's a lot of, this is random, there's a lot of Wizard of Oz imagery in this song. This is really random.
Wizard of Oz.
So she says 3 clicks and I'm home. There's no place like my room.
There's no place like
There's no place like home.
Yeah.
And then also, there's one more, I think. Something about. Anyway, she kind of references like can't. Or no, but I'm not gonna go down with my hometown in a tornado.
I'm gonna chase it.
So there's like a lot of, and in Wizard of Oz, the tornado comes and it's like Dorothy gets whisked away into this other world.
And then not being scared by the end either, right? When the siren sounds, you may hide, but I'm gonna chase it.
And then also, when all the instrumentation is happening, while she's screaming, that reminded me of like the end credits of a movie where something like really epic and incredible just happened. So that kind of calls back the DVD menu from the beginning of the album.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I thought this is how, this sounds like the end credits to a superhero movie. I thought,
yeah,
really victorious and exciting.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it like that.
So maybe this is like the ending to the movie that she was kind of setting up.
And I like
that's what it is. That's how I feel. It's the end. It's the big ending to this long movie, right? This kind of
I like when albums do that
at points movie.
Yeah.
I like when albums do that too. Kind of like when remember at the end of RTJ and. At the end of the song, and it's like doing the little thing, and then you could go back to the beginning, and it could, just
it kind of goes
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that because then you can go back to the DVD menu thing, the first track, and be like, oh, I like when albums do that. That's
I think she did sample that part for the beginning track. So
okay.
It kind of loops back into it, which made it really easy for me to just like, as soon as it ended, I was like. And back to the first one.
Now, final impressions on the album. I'll go first, guys. I want to give Avery his little spotlight. Since I feel like I'm the oddest guy out here listening to this album. So I took some notes on my impression. So I think the lyrics are great on here. They're sad and depressing throughout the whole album. The whole album is sad and depressing. Her lyrics specifically I'm speaking to. But I thought the lyrics were good. I thought they were real. I thought they were good. I thought it wasn't lyrics like she has lyrics where you can just get off the top of your head, but a lot of lyrics you actually got to read, which I'm not really used to doing in like for singing tracks or songs where people are singing. I'm used to doing that with rap songs. So yeah, I thought she has great lyrics. A lot of personal stories too. A lot of personal stories, which I think it's not a bad thing, but I said it's a good and bad thing because when you first listen to, you're like, what is she talking about? Because if you're just listening to this, you're like, what is she talking about? Like, some people might be like, oh, she sounds good, but like, it feels like she's going on. That's what it first like when I first read it. But if you read the lyrics, understand what she's saying. So, to me personally, outside of the tracks that are more energetic, I felt like sonically, for me, the project sounded the same in terms of the music behind it, for the most part. And the tracks that are more upbeat, the ones that have the drums, more energetic, I enjoy it more. And I'm not saying this is a problem or anything, but I don't think there's anything wrong with like, I don't know how to describe this, but like a chill, laid back, or slow songs or whatnot. But sometimes what I look for in artists is that when the beat or like the music behind it's slow, the artist has to give me something that changes up, or like they're loud or they're giving more energy or something like that. So I'm not saying like, that's her voice, that's how she sounds, that's the kind of music she does. It's just for me personally, it wasn't necessarily something that I was like, oh man, I was super into or super attentive of, because the music was, sad and slow, and she sounded sad and slow. And that, I kind of brought my mood down personally. So
the music was sad and slow, and she sounded sad and slow. So
I mean, was she not sad? Was she not? She's not.
I hear you.
So yeah. So
I feel like for me, my views on this album changed every time I listened to it. I think the first time I listened to it, I probably felt more like, in the sense of this isn't the genre of music we normally listen to, right? We don't normally listen to indie rock. So I think within that, for me, whenever I'm listening to an album, at least I like to try to broaden my scope of the genre I'm listening to if I'm not familiar with it. And I've learned in doing that indie rock, it is kind of this. It is slower paced songs, or songwriting's more the focus. Maybe kind of a little bit of alternative hints to it. And once I understood that, I was able to go in and just listen and understand the album for what it was supposed to do and who it was intended for. So I feel like this album, she even says it. I don't remember. I don't know if it was Grant's article or on Genius, but at some point she says, like, my first album was hard because, you know, it's kind of like you're putting yourself out for the first time. You're hoping people will listen to you.
Yeah.
The second one's easier because, you know, you're writing for someone. Like, you know who your crowd is, you know? You know that at the very least somebody will hear it. And to me, that kind of explains why she may have had a little bit more niche songwriting and a little bit more things that were specific to her and her experience. At the same time, I enjoyed that because as a result of that, it made the album feel very personal. And I don't think in rap, we often get artists revealing deep things about their relationship or how they feel about themselves or about their death or idols or, you know, how they handle celebrity. I don't think that happens all the time, especially within rap. Even RTJ, which I think is probably one of my favorite rap albums this year. Even with that, they get personal, they get political, but they're, you know, and at some point they do get personal, but I don't think they don't get raw, you know, they don't get raw and unfiltered. And I think I can see people just doing that. So I guess if anything, my only complaint is the 5 straight slow songs. Because for me, as a newer fan, that was just hard for me to kind of like, it's hard for me to sit through the entire thing. And I think that's why I enjoyed ICU so much, and I enjoyed Kyoto so much, because they're what precede and eventually follow this stretch of 5 just really kind of slower, chiller, more relaxed songs. And I think Noah has a point. If you're gonna go with a slow song, your writing has to carry the album, or at least carry the stretch. Yeah, I think she achieves that on some songs. I think she achieves that with Chinese Satellite and Penetrator and Halloween, but I think on others she kind of has to miss it. At least with the songwriting just not being at least strong enough for me to listen to the entire really, really slow, relaxed song, you know, over and over again. So I'll give you my number once we get there. But
it was like, stop taking this out.
I want to say I did like it. By listen 4, I was happily repeating and there are some songs that I honestly am going to save my liked songs. There are a few songs that I'm going to save because Kyoto, Above, you know, ICU, Above. I know at the end, one of my favorite outros, period. So I'm going to save them. But when it comes to the whole album, I guess you'll have to find out when we give you our rankings, or 1 to 10. Stay tuned.
Avery, it's amazing. It's the best album this year. Okay, I'm joking.
No, it literally is. I think it's my favorite album this year. It's my number 1. But I really love it when an artist can take like lessons that they've learned from previous albums and start implementing them in like their newer works. And, you know, she's only 2 albums in now, but she's come out with a lot of really prominent releases in the past 2 years. She's come out with 3 albums under 3 different names. So I really enjoyed hearing her evolve through each of those groups and then coming back to her own solo album and implementing all those sounds and coming out with something really mature and really, she called it in Grant's article, graduation music.
Yeah.
So I do think she really took a step up in her songwriting and this different sound she's trying to experiment with. And I really love that album for this. And I also love, I know it's kind of contradicting what Noah said when he was talking, but I really like all the different sounds that she has on this album. I like an album that I can go back to and listen to a few songs if I'm sad, or an album that I can go back and listen to if I'm happy and just kind of want to jam out. And I really love that album for this. So it's probably my favorite album of the year so far. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I
mean, you're right though. There's songs for when you're sad, for when you're lonely, for when you're happy, for when you're, angry. So there is emotional versatility, even if sonically some of the songs may kind of sound similar to each other.
Yeah. And to me, this just reaffirms that she's like one of the better songwriters working right now and making music that's not music that like requires songwriting.
Yeah, for me, it was nothing about her lyrics that are bad. Because when I just read the lyrics, I'm like, wow, she's talking some real stuff. To me, it was strictly the music behind it that was necessarily not something that necessarily was pulling me in for the whole time. Mm-hmm. And something for me that's personally easily able to for me to tune out personally. But reading the lyrics, I was like, oh, she's talking stuff. Just listening to it sonically, I was not able to stay my attention wasn't
your cup of tea.
Exactly, but I don't want to sound like I'm bashing the dang album, but yeah.
Do you want to go to scores out of 10?
I'll go first. Everything I'm gonna give this thing a 3 or something like that. Out of respect for the project, for real.
Don't do that. Don't follow your heart.
Follow Mart. Out of respect for the project, I'm gonna give it a 7. See, See, I was gonna. Sorry, guys. I was like, what if I say 6. I can't say 6.5 because that's like Dark Lane demo tapes territory. And I was like, I can't do that. That's disrespectful, bro. That's like, that's too much. So I said 7 because the lyrics are good. The lyrics are really good. Even though I'm, lyrics are something like that. I think can cross genres. Like if you read it, it's like, wow, that's dope how she did that, or it's dope how that means that, or something like that. The lyrics are really good, and even though the music wasn't necessarily my cup of tea throughout the whole project, I thought it was done well. I thought it was done well for what it was. The quality was great. The musicality was great. A lot of the music was layered. There was a lot going on in a good way, which I can respect. Even though it's not my cup of tea, I think it was done well. So that's why I'm giving it a 7.
All right. So for me, I definitely think, again, like this isn't my genre, right? Like this isn't where I feel comfortable and at home within music. But once I'm able to kind of take a step out of that and look at it for what it is, supposed to be an indie rock album made by an indie rock, indie pop artist, however you want to put it. I think I'm able to see it in a different light, and that makes it easier for me to, do things like review and support, listen to it time and time again. So I think while personally it may have been different, this was a really, really good indie album, right? Songwriting was really good. The production, though, like I said, I did complain about the slow stretch. Even some of those slower songs, just the strings and the instrumentation and using all the simplicity of it, and kind of how beautiful the music was, it gives her some points in my eyes. And while there are songs like Moon songs that I think are slow and I just can't get with, and even to a degree Chinese Satellite, which while I like the idea and the concept, it was slow and I don't know how much I'm coming back to it. There were some slow songs like both Punisher and Halloween that I really, really liked and I enjoyed listening to. And again, like I said, I really enjoyed Kyoto. I really enjoyed ICU. I really enjoyed I Know the End. I really enjoyed DVD Menu as an intro. So all in all, that means I enjoyed a majority of the tracks, and I do think there were fewer misses, definitely fewer misses than hits. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8.5.
Wow! Whoa!
Yeah,
wow.
Because I think it was a really good indie rock album. Like again, would I add this to my personal library? I don't know. Some songs, definitely yes. But I think for what it is, for an indie album, I think it did its job really, really well. And I think as someone who hasn't listened to the genre that often before, my first foray into indie rock kind of really wholeheartedly, I enjoyed it. And I think Phoebe Bridges kind of did her thing. So that's what you got from Nnamdi.
I'm gonna give it 11 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 9, with the condition of like in a week or two, it's probably going to be a 10 just because I keep coming back to it. But right now it's a 9. I'm trying not to like stand too hard on the album.
Avery is the person judge.
So Avery, you're giving it a 9.
Yeah.
So that means
it's like purely just because it came out 3 days ago. That I feel like I need to marinate on it a little bit more.
Okay.
So I feel like every one of these songs that could go into any playlist of mine, I'm gonna listen to every single song. I love every single song.
Even
I think it's wonderful.
So wait a second. This album's better than the Charlie XX. This is better than that.
To me, this is better than that album. All
right.
Wow, that was your.
I'm trying not to like stand
that was
too hard.
number 1 last week.
Yeah, and now this is probably my number 1 album of the year. And I don't know what other album that's coming out this year that could.
That's an average of 8.1, guys.
Well, no. We invited Grant on here, and I think we should include Grant in our scoring. So we actually have an 8.37. 8.3. So an 8.3 is our 97 demo score of Punisher by Phoebe Bridges. Avery, how does that make you feel? You got an 8.3.
Makes me feel very happy.
You got an 8.3.
Avery thought it was going to go a lot worse. Did you not?
I told Nnamdi before we recorded, I thought you were going to give it a 6. So I'm happy. I'm really.
But I knew, and Avery, what did I say I was going to do? No, I know you, bro. I literally was like, no, what Noah's going to do is he wants us to come in thinking that Noah's going to give it a 4 because it's in his genre. And he wants us to think that so he can surprise us and give it like an 8. That's what I said. And you give it a 7.5. So
okay. Let me give you an example, though. I know you guys won't know this. Remember Kid Cudi released a rock album a while ago?
Yeah.
I don't listen to rock at all. When I heard that, I knew it was bad rock. So I was like, this is not done well. So I'm going to give that I'm saying, even though this is not my type of music, I can at least tell the music was quality and it was done well. Like, I can tell when music is good. Even though if I don't like it, I can tell when it's good.
Wait, no. Did you give it a 7 or a 7.5?
I gave it a 7.
Well, I made my calculation right.
I made it a 7, but yeah.
8.5.
Hey, I don't know. I don't think we
Okay,
have.
well, no, yeah, okay, right. 8.3 official. So I think that's
8.3. That's good.
Do we want to do projects of the week? Anything? We didn't talk about it, but just off the dome. What are you guys listening to?
I think I said it, but I was listening to a lot of Weekend.
Yeah.
That House of Balloons, man. Woo!
I was listening to Beyonce's song a lot since it came out. I really enjoyed that, and this obviously.
Yeah.
And I actually have been on Alicia Keys bender. I don't know what put me in the Alicia Keys bender, but I know I've been telling y'all R&B is my thing all year. So I'm gonna say her second album maybe. And I know the album cover. It's one where it's half her face, half the keyboard, and I can't think of the name. But she has like Diary on it and like Never See Me Again. Just great album. Listen to that. Shout out to Alicia Keys. She won the verse against John Legend 2 days ago. By the way, keeping you up to date on the latest news. But there you go. Phoebe Bridges, 8.3. Listen to the album. Also, thanks Grant again for coming on. Make sure to follow him on Twitter and give his article a read, which we'll put in our bio on everything, YouTube and SoundCloud. And yeah, thank you guys for joining us for another great edition of the 97 Demo Podcast. We'll see you next week. Follow and subscribe.